Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and I just wanted to tell you about a little bit of the history of myself and EVE Online. And it goes way back. So what inspired this is that there's an article up right now on EVE, kind of about my history with EVE and everything. And I thought, this would be good to share with all of you who watch the videos as well. It turned out to be a pretty neat little story. So here we go. Now this isn't exactly the same as the article. In fact, I'll link to the article in the description. But it, it is similar. So maybe some stuff in that that's not in this, but vice versa, whatever. So, a little bit of history about myself. I consider myself to be a first-generation gamer, meaning that I was there as a kid when stuff like Atari hit, the big arcade machine, the Asteroids and these other games. Let's see, there was we played Asteroids, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, even Star Wars. And use the Force, Luke, use the Force. And all of these games, which I dumped, I don't know how many quarters into, amazing amounts of money. Where did I come up with all that money? It was just amazing. Back when I was about 8 years old, which was 1978, that is kind of the 1978 is a really defining year in video games. And the reason for that is it's a technological leap. So we went from tube-based electronics to solid state. And that is, 1978 is kind of the switchover point where it became mainstream. And so it's like before that, at least with pinball machines, 1977 and before were almost always electromechanical. They were like machines that would ratchet each loop and it would count how many ticks had gone by, based on wheels and stuff like that, in order to add up the score. And so every time you hit a bumper and you got another point, it would go one more tick on a device that would then equal one more tick up on the score. And it was really kind of it's almost like comparing an abacus as a calculator to a handheld calculator that we've got these days. And so it was a really big leap. And that is when we started to see arcade games really come into fruition. There was some arcade games before that. There was Pong, which I think came out in 1971. It was really designed as an experiment, just to prove something could be done. And then who knew that it would kick off all of the arcade-based video games? Who knew? But speaking of Pong, in 1978, I bought myself, when I was 8 years old, a used Pong machine. And it wasn't the arcade one, it was a home one, and it was a version made by Radio Shack. And I remember this, it was big. It was big like a brick. And it was full of batteries. You had to put 8 AA batteries in it, and it had a cord that went out to the TV, and had all kinds of switches on it and stuff for configuring it. And then it also had another cord that went out to another little controller, and the other little controller was really more regular size, but it was just a paddle. And so we used to play that with each other, my friends and I. Basically, that was my first video game that I had at home. And it wasn't too long after that ColecoVision came out, and the Atari 2600, and the Atari 2600 was probably the first really big home game station. And I had one of those, but I really didn't have very many games for it. What I really wanted was the ColecoVision, and that's what I got. And the ColecoVision was something more unique because it could save games, and it would with a tape deck. Now, what was really funny about that is that the very first versions of it that came out, the tape deck was included in the console, and what they found out is that every time you turned on the machine, the electromagnetic pulse from it was so big that it would destroy the data on the tape. Your save game. And so it had all of these reliability problems. People were like, well, my save game didn't work and stuff. Well, it was because it kept getting wiped out every time you turned it on. And so in a later version, which I had another version of it, we used an external tape deck and used cords to connect it, and it was far enough away from it, it didn't cause any problems. But I remember playing on those, and the controllers were quite weird. They had number pads on them as well as little joystick and everything, and you know, those were really fond memories of you know, where I first started gaming. In '97, this game called Ultima Online came out, and that was a revolutionary game, and it's one of the games that paved the way for EVE Online. The game was the first massive multiplayer game where it was a lot of people playing. And with all of these people playing, you were actually, instead of just talking to an NPC, when you saw another player in the game, they were a real person that was controlling them, and you never knew what they were going to do. And I knew that that was probably one of the moments where I said, damn, this is where I want to be. So in late '97, early '98, what started happening was people started selling virtual goods for Ultima Online. I was one of those people. I was right there at the beginning, and you know, I started by buying an account that was probably about 3 months old from a friend of mine, and he said that he was done playing. He had a house, he had all of this other gear and everything, and I paid him, I think, about $200 for the account, and then I pieced it all out, parted it all out, and I started placing items on eBay, and lo and behold, I got about $2,000 out of the account. And when it was all said and done, now I had to put work into it. Back then there was no PayPal. You had to transfer money via like Western Union, or somebody had to send you a check, and you know, so there was some other issues back then with payments. It was hard to get a payment from somebody, and but you know, with eBay's style and completing the auctions and everything, and then it was theirs, and they got bad reputation if they didn't pay. You know, you could get payment within 7 days or whatnot, and then as soon as the payment arrived and you cashed the check, then you would, you know, contact them on ICQ, which is what we used back then, to instant message each other, and we would meet up in game and deliver. Well, we started doing something that's very commonplace in EVE, which is the whole system of EVE, where you buy ETC, the EVE time codes, and you put them on the market in the game, and you then can exchange them for ISK in the game. And so it's kind of the legit way to buy ISK within EVE Online. And so it allows people who, you know, have real life money and maybe not as much time to earn money in the game. They can convert the codes into ISK and then get the ISK back out and play the game. The people who have a lot of ISK but don't have so much money in real life, it allows them to you know, pay for their subscription. So it's a beautiful thing. Well, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but back in 1998, we started doing that in Ultima Online, and it worked out as a really good thing. We would buy 30 and 90-day codes, and then we would turn around and sell them for gold in the game, and then we would take that gold and we would put it up on eBay. And this was back when it was not a violation of the terms of service to sell the currency in Ultima Online, and so we weren't violating any rules or anything. And so we would then, you know, take this gold and we'd sell it on eBay, and I'd have double the money, a little bit more than double, probably about 2.5 times the money. And then I would buy more codes, we would sell them in game for gold, and rinse and repeat, and keep doing that. became very successful at doing that. And it really provided the same service of, there was a lot of people who were playing the game for free because of what we were doing. And that worked out really well. So then it was, what was it? May 2003 that EVE Online was released. And I had been hearing about the game and everything, and I tried it right in the beginning. I actually tried the game, and I failed pretty miserably at it. But they had the whole same thing of they had game time codes. They had the EVE time codes. And so I wanted to see whether or not I could do the same thing in the game, whether or not I could sell the codes for ISK, and then I could turn around and sell ISK on eBay. Well, it turns out that they already had identified that they didn't want that to happen, and that they saw selling ISK on eBay as a violation of the terms of service. Okay, fine. I wasn't going to break the rules and do that, and so we were already selling Ultima Online codes, and I forget how much we were doing. I think I was probably doing around $10,000 or $15,000 worth of UO codes a month that I was selling, and so it was just kind of natural. Okay, so we've got we've got our EVE stuff here. Okay, so let's try selling them, put them on the store, and that it seemed to work. The first order that I placed, this is really special. The first order that I placed was, I placed it online. I don't even remember how I paid for it, whether I paid for it with a credit card or whether it was I had to send Western Union or something like that. I don't even remember how I paid for it, but I remember when it arrived, because it arrived in a silver Malar anti-static bubble bag. And you didn't see those things very often. Being in the in the computer business, because I owned a computer store whenever I was doing the Ultima Online stuff, I recognized those. They're anti-static bags. They're to keep you from zapping your electronics while you do stuff. And maybe they were worried about, I don't know if the codes had a magnetic stripe on them or something. I don't have any of those original cards anymore. But I remember that they would arrive in these packages, and I always knew it was from them, and it was from Iceland. How cool is that? And so, it's in this bag and everything. It arrives in my mailbox, and I don't know, I probably, first couple of times I ordered like 10 of each code or something like that, just trying it out. Well, I would have to get the codes, and we would have to scratch off the stuff and then type them in by hand. It was really quite tedious. And then I sold them, since I was buying them at retail, I sold them at $5 each above retail. And to my surprise, people were buying them. I don't know why. Why, when you could buy them directly from CCP and pay for the game that way, but maybe it's because we offered other payment solutions. We offered Western Union. At this point, we offered PayPal, and we offered sending us checks, other stuff that CCP was not doing, and so it made it that we were a resource for that. Well, what happened was that the volume started getting really big, and I remember some pretty big packages of these coming in, and I was going, this is a $3,000 package of codes coming in the mail. What if somebody stole this? And it was just being delivered via postal mail to me. And about then is when CCP contacted me, and they said, hey, you're moving significant volumes of these here. Would you like to be a reseller? Hell yeah, sign me up. So, became an official reseller, and got listed on the site, and then started getting all of our codes electronically delivered. And when it was electronically delivered, we no longer had typos. We were always having typos. Mr. Dyslexic here was typing up the damn codes. Can you believe it? somebody who's dyslexic trying to type in all those codes, it was a chore, a real chore. And it's amazing that, that I was able to do it at all. So, I started out, we founded Shattered Crystal in the year 2000 is when it actually became a company. Before that, it was loosely organized. It was a business, but it was all under just my personal name and everything. And actually in 2000 decided to form a company because the sales were sufficient enough to warrant actually being a company. And Shattered Crystal is where I started doing all of the sales and everything. As many of you may know, I am not with Shattered Crystal any longer. I lost control of the company through divorce, and that was a couple years ago. And since then, now I'm at markydragon.com. And, I did a lot of things back there at Shattered Crystal I'm very proud of and everything. But that's not... it's just not where I'm at anymore. And just wanted to point that out. It's an important part of my history. I founded that. I built the whole thing. I designed the whole thing. I operated everything. And, of course, we had a lot of great staff and everything that helped with that and everything. But no longer there. And you can find me now at markydragon.com, and that's where we're selling at. And in fact, if you look on the Eve timecode reseller list, you'll find us there on the list. So while I was at Shattered Crystal, one of the things that we developed was an affiliate system. I felt very strongly about this because affiliate systems, instead of paying out advertising dollars, we decided that we would put the advertising money back into the community. And instead of just contacting websites, fan sites for Eve and everything and saying, hey, would you put up a banner for us and we'll give you so much money per month or whatnot, I really wanted it to be kind of a volume-based thing. A thing where the bigger sites would earn more money and the smaller sites would have potential to earn money, but if they didn't produce any volume, then they might not get paid anything. Well, worked out really good because we built this affiliate system and we signed up over 100 Eve fan sites, and we did fan sites, corp sites, even just corp organizations that had just their own forums and everything, and it worked out really good. One of the biggest back in the day was Goons, and so Goons used to send all of their people through us to help fund the site operations, but then also they had cash left over. And from that cash left over, they turned around and bought more time codes and converted them into ISK to fund their campaigns within the game. And it was a pretty brilliant system that really allowed them to generate this external thing to help generate things for them in game. And I'm very proud of that. That's that the affiliate system is one of the things that I think really was a key to success back then. These days, the biggest key to success is customer service, which that's a whole different subject. But so anyway, we had explosive growth, really explosive growth. We were having a really hard time keeping up. When we became an official reseller, we were growing, we were more than doubling each month. And so I remember the stats, and it was really incredible because, like the first month, when we were official, we did like $10,000 in sales of Eve timecodes. The second month, it was $20,000. Third month, it was $40,000. And at that point, I'm going, holy shit, I need help. I need staff, and I hired my first person. And, it was a one-man show all up to then. And then we did 80,000, and we needed to hire 3 more people. And then it was 160,000, and we needed to hire, half a dozen more people. And then at that point, when we got up over $150,000 a month, I said to myself, we gotta stop this madness. We can't get people fast enough. We didn't have virtual offices back then. So, you know, here we are renting office space, and within 2 months, we're out of space already. And, you know, it was pretty incredible. And so we ended up with, you know, 3 or 4 people in each office, and it was pretty nuts. At our high point, you know, we had like 20 people working this, and so what I had to do is I had to cap our growth at about 35% a month, because that was all the more that we could grow every month and still keep customer service up and still keep some sort of quality control. And then, not to mention that, you know, codes like this, there's not a high profit margin. You know, sure, if you do big enough numbers, you can make a profit, but that's the key, is you have to do big numbers to make a profit, and the fraud can be astronomical. And so, you know, you had to, you didn't have a whole lot left over to reinvest every time. And so 35% growth every month was definitely above the amount of profit that we were making. So it was still outpacing us, and so we were having to order more and more often, and you know, we're doing everything we could to keep up. And I remember that we would run out on weekends sometimes and everything, because we just didn't have enough money to buy all the product that we needed. And who would, you know, I didn't want to, at the time, I didn't want to take on a business partner. I didn't want somebody else telling me what to do and everything, and you know, I don't mind it when customers demand things. That's a completely different thing. But I didn't want a boss, and so that was we ended up turning away customers, and we did that for, you know, a couple of years. That we became more like a club and everything, and you know, we really had to throttle growth, and we were very careful about you know, how we advertised and stuff, you know, what marketing we did, and it was all very very coordinated, very planned, and very down to the dime on how we would do it. So, you know, the it was really a great thing to be so successful with it, and you know, I'll give you a number that'll just blow your mind at the end of the video here about how many codes we've actually sold. So, you know, when Eve came out, like I said, I tried to get into it and I failed. I tried a couple of more times. You know, we're having all this success with selling it. I really want to be in it. The game looks hellaciously fun, but the game is such a time suck and everything, and I had a really hard time getting into it, and I failed a couple of times, until, you know, back when I was you know, we were firing up MarkyDragon.com, and you know, I was trying to you know, get back on my feet again after the divorce and stuff, and I didn't have the company anymore, didn't have any income. I knew that I wanted to stay in this business though, and so I we started up, and I'm like, okay, so how can we kick off, you know, Eve? And we have a really great relationship with Summer Blink. You know, when they first contacted us, I was like, you know, I'm very opposed to lotteries and everything. But then when I realized that all the winnings and everything that was being paid out was in, you know, in ISK and everything, that it's not real money, okay, fine, I can go for that. You know, so we started working with them, and then, you know, we started this thing on my videos here of talking about the 30-day challenge, and 30-day challenge for all kinds of different things. And one of the top items that was asked for was for Eve Online, for me to really try and get into Eve. And I thought, okay, we're going to do this. I'm going to play 30 days hardcore in Eve Online. And what I did was I broke it down into 3 days a week. I still had other responsibilities, so I took 3 days a week and 3 days a week for 10 weeks, and played Eve hardcore. And the number one thing that I learned in that, I'm now in the game, the number one thing that I learned about that was that the fact of community. that's what I was missing the first time around, is that I needed to be playing with other people and not be a loner in the game, and that's how I was able to be successful in EVE Online. With that, some very interesting things happened. Did you know I'm the #1 bounty in the game? I'm the #1 most wanted. You know, Summer Blink continuously denies that they are anonymous bounty guy. Somebody put a 60 billion ISK bounty on my head. Well, I already had like 3 point some odd billion on my head, and I was feeling pretty proud about that, and I bragged about it, and then bam, this big ass bounty put on me, 60 billion, which is, you know, in when you convert, you know, what the ISK costs to buy the game time and then what the game time costs retail, you know, you're looking at, I think we figured out that it was like $2,400 is what my bounty was worth. And I'm like, holy shit, really? So that caused a lot of problems, actually. It made it very difficult to it made it very, very difficult to get a lot of things done in the game because so many people wanted to kill me. And, you know, more so, you know, they weren't going to get very much because I was just in small ships and everything, but, you know, they wanted my dead body to hang up on their wall. They wanted my frozen corpse is what they wanted. And so that, oh my, that was a lot of fun. You know, some of the other things that we learned in there was, and these videos are coming out right now. I recorded all of this, and it's on my gameplay channel, which I've linked to in the description here as well. And on the gameplay channel, it is a, I went through everything. At the beginning, you see me making all these mistakes and everything, and really doing a lot of things the hard way because I'm pig-headed, I'm stubborn. And I had very certain ways I wanted to do things, and I was trying to do those ways, and I wanted to do it my way. And you know, by midway through, I'm really making progress and everything. And by the end of the 30 days, we had basically figured out how to make between 150 and 200 million ISK per hour through faction warfare with a newbie ship. And so we had actually like proven how somebody can earn enough ISK in the game within their first 30 days to pay for their subscription. And now you can't do faction stuff in trial accounts, I don't think, but you can, you know, so if you pay for the game and then you may not have, you get 30 days for free, you actually can then not have to pay again if you use this method that we figured out, which is being shown in the videos. Another really neat thing that happened. So, you know, we I had heard from some of the people that we were playing with that they did this thing sometimes called a drunken roam. Group of guys would get together, they'd have drinks, and they'd go out and just shoot whatever got in front of them. They'd just roam around looking for stuff to kill. And so I'm like, oh, okay, so this is like one of the, you know, EVE is very unique because it has the most mature players of any MMO I've ever seen. It's the most technical game. I think that the EVE players are probably some of the most intelligent crowd of MMO players. And I'm not saying that there aren't intelligent players of other games. I'm just saying that the concentration of intelligence is higher, I believe, in EVE Online. And so, you know, I'm listening to these guys talk about this, and I'm like, this would be a great idea. Okay, let's do this. And so, not really knowing that really had never been done formally. And so I'm like, okay, so for the finale, we're going to go out on this drunken roam. And so I sent information to my contacts at CCP. I'm like, will you guys post this and everything? They posted news articles about it and stuff. And lo and behold, what I didn't know is that really this hadn't been done before, at least not on this scale. And I was actually really surprised, but the EVE culture is very liberal. And, you know, if you drop an F-bomb, you know, in an official EVE video, it's not such a big deal. You know, the CCP and the EVE community does things that would never be thought of in other games as being acceptable or okay. And that's one of the brilliant things about the game as well. And so you know, put all this together and stuff, we ended up with over 100 of us going out on this roam, and it was really great. It's going to show here in the next couple of weeks in the playlist of the videos, our drunken roam, and it spans over 3 or 4 episodes, and we're drinking all the time. A lot of fun, and we take more than 100 ships, and we've got like 10 of us on camera for this too. We take more than 100 ships, and then they're like, Marky, you should lead us. Oh my God, here I am. I'm really a noob. I'm really only 30 days into the game, and I'm, you know, I've done a little bit of fleet command and everything, but you know, it's not really something I wanted to do. I wanted to sit back and just participate and have a good time, whereas a lot of them encouraged me to just lead. So, okay, leading, head on out, and we had so many people that we were going through, and we decided that we were not going to exclude anyone from this. And so I chose, and most everybody chose, to just go out in the noob ship. You know, the ship when you get potted and you appear at a station that is not where you don't have other ships, that newbie ship that you get. And so we had that. And we had over 100 of us, and we just swarmed everybody and took them out. And if you got popped, no problem. Just grab your newbie ship and catch up. It was really great. And so we went all over the place, had a really great time, and including we took out a carrier, a transport that we came across, and it was a big one. It took us probably 10 minutes to take it out. And here we are drinking the whole time. And my neighbor over here, can you see him? Can you see him on camera there? Yeah, there he is in the corner of the camera. I just heard him over there. He sits out here and suns himself and does some sort of dance. I don't know. But he just sits out here and suns himself. Anyway, so we had just a wonderful, wonderful time. And what a big success. And, you know, really I have some stats from that, which is that in that 30-day challenge, we gave out around 3,000 trial accounts. In fact, we might still be the only place, I don't know. We have 30-day trial accounts at our store. And we gave out an enormous amount of trial accounts, and we gave away a whole bunch of accounts and all of this other stuff, and really had a great, great time. And so, you know, it was really, really special to me. And EVE Online is more now than just a game I wanted to play. It's a game that I still want to play, but it's such a time suck that I don't have time. I end up being more of a casual player because I just don't have enough time to really devote to it like I'd like to. And I commonly get the question of, you know, whether or not I'm still playing and whether or not I will be playing. And yeah, I'm playing, but it's going to be in spurts. Play a block here, play a block here, play a block here. And of course, we'll do it live, and I'm happy to play with you guys. So, you know, that'll be fun. And, you know, watch my live shows for when we schedule that up. So, you know, the future, that's part of the future for me and EVE. And so I am still playing. I'm not as active as I would love to be. I would really like to be more active, but I just don't have as much time as I would like. And, you know, so we currently do a lot of things for the game. We're doing a lot of sales, and that's what we do. So it's working wonderfully, and I love being a part of the community, even though it's not so much as one of the players, probably more so known as, you know, one of the retailers out there and everything. And it's a very special place in my heart, and I'm really happy to have been here. And you know, so I told you that I'd give you a really incredible number. I figured things up, and looking over my term of, you know, being with Shattered Crystal and being with Marquee Dragon and everything, and just how, you know, how many codes we've sold. And the number was really pretty incredible. We have sold over 1 million Eve Time codes. And pretty incredible number. Proud of that as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, and proud to have served so many people in the community. And so, you know, and our mantra is customer service first. That's really our mantra. So here's to another 10 years, I hope. Eve, it's been great success, and it's so special because it's really a player-driven game, and because it's player-driven, the players get what they need and want out of the game, and then it continues on. So, you know, I don't see any reason why Eve can't go another 10 years, and you know, why we can't be there supporting the community as a business and also playing it. Hope you enjoyed that story. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Marquee Dragon. Take care.